Today's lesson talks about side angle side and HL. These are two more shortcuts. Remember, the very first day we learned about proving triangles, we learned about CPCTC. And that's for when you have all parts on a triangle. The other day we learned side, side, side. That's when you have three sides on each triangle, corresponding and congruent. Today we're learning about two new ones, so you can add to your list. Side angle side and HL. Now we have four ways of proving triangles are congruent, depending on what's given in the picture and what you can prove. So, first thing you got to understand is some parts of right triangles. Whenever you have a right triangle, and I'll draw one out to the side, those sides on a right triangle have specific names. The longest one you should know immediately, hypotenuse. I'll just abbreviate it, HYP. Hypotenuse is the longest part of a right triangle. It's across from the right angle as well. The other two parts are called the legs. Now, usually, to refer to them, to know which one we're talking about, we would say a short leg in this picture, and then there'd be a long leg. That kind of makes sense. If I said short leg, you'd know which one I'm talking about. So, these cover all the vocab for this lesson. I think you should put a star by this one, because this is the one that you need to study a little bit more, because this is the one that's commonly missed on the test, HL. It stands for hypotenuse leg. So it's kind of interesting. Whenever you have hypotenuse leg, you're obviously going to have a right angle. You must have a right angle. You must have a right triangle to use hypotenuse leg. You're going to have a mark on the H, the hypotenuse, and you're going to have a mark on one of the legs. If you saw two triangles with these same marks, they're congruent and corresponding, then you could prove they are congruent by HL. So once again, H stands for hypotenuse, L stands for leg. I'll show you a brief preview of what side angle side looks like. For side angle side, you're going to have two sides marked, and the angle in between the two sides. So it kind of makes sense. The A is between the two S's, so the angle must be marked between the two sides. To verify that, or to figure out where that is, you could trace the sides back. You could make them a little more bold. And they both meet at this angle. That's what side angle side would look like. So these are the two new ones for today. So here's another set of pictures for side angle side. I gave you a brief preview. Here's the real big theorem. So if two sides and the included angle, circle that, that's big. Included angle, that's the angle in between the two sides. If two sides and the included angle of one triangle are congruent to two sides and the included angle of a second, then the two triangles are congruent. That's the long way to say side angle side. What does RS match with? UV. You should be getting fast at this. Angle R matches with U, and RT matches with UW. You should become very quick with that. You should also become very quick with these things. What are these things called right here? Write it out below it. You got to know what that is called. It's called a congruence statement. It's saying two triangles are congruent. To prove two triangles are congruent, you got to state that at the end along with the reasons, such as side angle side, HL, that kind of thing. RST matches with UVW. Very good. Very good. So the key thing, if you have your two sides marked, you can trace the sides back and you can see where they meet. That's the angle that should be marked. So I don't have a side over here. I don't have my angle marked there. It wouldn't be side angle side if you had this side and no angle marked there. So be careful. Here's another non-example. If you have two sides but that angle is marked, is the angle between the two sides? No. So this is a non-example. This is a bad example. The angle is not between the two sides. It's not included. All right, now we're going to practice a little bit more with these proofs. I don't think these are that hard. There's only a few reasons, a few statements that help you out by giving you some of them. They start off over here. They tell you a given. Let's see if it's marked. JN, yes. KN, MN, yes, they're marked. That's really good. We got to make sure they're marked, and they are. So JN is congruent to LN. Those are easy. I don't have to think to do these two because they're my givens. But now, why is angle 1 congruent to angle 2? That's the big question. All right, so we've brainstormed a little bit. The key problem with this one is they have a little problem with their picture. I'll redraw it out here to the side. It should look more like that. Should look more like that, where we have 1 and 2 here. Now this is drawn correctly. This one was kind of drawn incorrectly, so that's an error in the book or a note-taking guide. If you saw this, and you saw that on a quiz here just recently, why are those angles congruent? Vertical angles. If you put those here, you got to mark them on the picture. So now we have this on our picture. Now, can I say those two triangles are congruent based on that information? Yes, because side, angle, side. And you can put SAS to remind yourself. It kind of spells it out. Side, angle, side. And once again, those reasons such as CP, CTC, side, angle, side, HL, you can only state them at the very, very last reason. That's the only place they can ever go. So please make sure of that. So key things on this one. This picture was wrong. You cannot say vertical angles because it's not a perfect X up there. It's not a perfect X on this. That's why it was wrong. It was drawn incorrectly. The key thing you must make sure you got to make sure you have your marks on your triangles, meaning the side tick marks and the angle marks. You have to have those, and they have to match up with what you said for your statements and reasons. Example 2. This one looks very similar to the other quiz question we had. So basically, you just got the answer to one of the quiz questions we saw. Here's the answer to the other quiz question. So on this picture, it says, in the diagram, ABCD is a rectangle. That's important. It's a rectangle. You got to remember that piece right there is a rectangle. Next up, what can you conclude about those two triangles that it makes? So remember, I don't like these kind of paragraph proofs. I like to write them out here to the side. So automatically, I heard somebody say reflexive. Where can I put a reflexive mark? AC. So how do I write that out? I put the mark. I got to have a statement and reason that goes with it. Good job. AC is congruent to AC because reflexive property. I have my right angles. They're already marked. Do I have any other information? Do I have enough information to say HL, side, angle, side, side, or CP, All right, so a lot of people are thinking that we don't have any other information to add. You can't add midpoint because it doesn't mention midpoint. It does give you something else up here in this given section. It's a rectangle. Well, what do you know about a rectangle? All four corners are 90s. Well, I don't really want to mark these because that doesn't help me a whole lot. Good thought, though. What else do we know about rectangles? Okay, so where are the congruent parts? AB is congruent to whatever this is. We'll call it D. Those are congruent. So I can say that out here to the side. AB is going to be congruent to CD. But why? Why did I add those marks? Why did we add those marks? Well, where did we know? We know the definition of a rectangle. Because I know the properties of a rectangle, I can use its definition to add some more marks. I could keep writing marks, but I think I have enough right now. So, somebody just said side angle side. If I trace these sides, is the angle where they meet? No, it is not side angle side. Common mistake right there. Yes? So, here's that common one that people miss, and I'm going to emphasize it again. If you see, write this note to yourself, if you see a right triangle, think about HL. To be HL, we must have a right angle, do we? Yes. There it is. And then we need a hypotenuse marked. Do we have that? Yep, there's the hypotenuse. And then do we have a leg marked? Yep. This is HL. These triangles are congruent due to HL. This is enough information. Another person said some more information about rectangles. We could have marked here and here, but then we would have had to add more reasons and more statements in order to do that. So really, this is the minimum answer. This is the good, short, sweet answer. This is the most efficient one. You see right triangles, you need to be thinking about HL. All right, try these checkpoints out. They're a little bit more challenging. You've got to really examine the picture.